Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome back. This is actually going to be part 2 of my 5,000 mile review, which is now technically a 6,000 mile review of the Ducati Multistrada V4S travel and radar without the radar. So a couple things that I left out that some people asked about. I think I've beat up the gas mileage enough. I have plenty of videos on that. And the bottom line is, it really depends on how you drive and your right wrist. That's the bottom line. So I'm really not going to cover that at all. I've just said enough, and there are plenty of videos that I have to kind of cover the gas mileage situation with this bike. So one of the things that I had complained about in a previous video was that I said that there's an issue between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM, that sometimes the bike just doesn't like that, and you get this, it's almost like a cavitation with the RPMs, and it's hit and miss. It doesn't happen anywhere near as much as it used to happen, but one particular time very recently, I was in third gear, somewhere in the 40 to 42 mile an hour range, and I was about 4,700 RPM, and that baby was just bouncing. I was rock steady with my wrist, and that needle on the tack was just bouncing, and you can hear it and you can feel like the little bit of a surge. I don't know what's going on, if it's a tuning issue that they're going to have an update for. I'm not really sure. I went out and figured, you know what, I'll do a video about it and I will capture it. I drove around for 45 minutes until my GoPro died, trying with a cold engine, a hot engine. I tried different gears, trying to get in that 45, 46, 4,700 RPM range. Couldn't get it to repeat at all. I literally have 45 minutes of GoPro video that I'm just going to delete. It's just, I can't repeat what happened because it doesn't happen all the time. Now, as far as this compartment up here for your phone, I've heard a couple people say, oh, my phone doesn't fit in that. Well, you know what? Your phone will. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, but it doesn't fit when I have it in my case. When I take it out, it slides and fits right in there while it's plugged in. So the larger phones will definitely fit in here. The thing is that I've been using this little X thing that I'm not a fan of, but it's what I have, and I don't want to spend any more money on anything else because I don't want things like a rock form that I have to change my case. All my stuff gets put right here on my hip. It's what I'm used to. I want this little clip on here. Therefore, there's really nothing else that can help me because of the size of my phone. Now, why do I prefer to use this versus this container over here? On a long trip, I will certainly take it out of the case and I will put it in there. Although I have to leave it cracked a little bit because the phone gets really hot. It's literally, it's in the gas, it's at the top of the gas tank, but it gets really hot. It's black. The sun's beating down. I'm in South Florida, as everyone knows, and that can create an issue. So 9 out of 10 times, I just have my phone here and I will literally pull out, here, I'll show you. I'll just pull out my iPhone cord and I'll just plug it in right here. I could tuck away a lot of the extra cord here and close it, and I'm good to go. It's just convenient, especially with this thing, trying to find the exact sequence so that everything works. Now, I have a Cardo, and I've kind of figured out exactly what I need to do to make that work. So now I'm going to get on to the next thing with this. Like I said before, I believe that a Google Play or an Apple Play would have been a better choice for this system, because right now you can only use one map, and that's Sigic. And it's pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. There are some other things that go along with it. So this is what I found out, and it's a lot easier when you have your phone right in front of you and you can see it. And I have gloves that on the right index finger I could touch my screen on my phone, which I think most gloves do now anyway, except maybe the thicker winter ones. I doubt that's going to work. Anywho, so turn the bike on, but don't start it. I let it cycle all the way through until the screen shows like it's ready to go. At that point, I will start the bike. I will look to make sure that the phone has connected to the TFT up here. Now, again, remember, there are two different things here. The Ducati Connect is an app. Your phone connecting to the bike has nothing to do with the app, okay? However, when you want, it's the app that allows you the phone and everything else that goes with it, as far as being able to scroll through contacts and see the map and so on and so forth. If you just want to listen to music, you don't need the Ducati Connect. And I found out that the Ducati Connect really doesn't work well with the music, to be quite honest with you. So I'll back up again. Here's what I do on my end, and I use a Cardo Procom 4 Plus. All right, turn the bike on, let it cycle through till it's done. Then I start the bike. About 30 seconds after I turn the bike on, between 30 and 45 seconds, I'll get a notification on my phone saying, hey, do you want to connect? No problem. I will go ahead and I will connect. It'll say to join on my phone, at which point I will open up the Ducati Connect app. And you have to have that app open in order for you to get anything like the map to show up on here. Now, while all that was happening, you will see your phone signal and your phone battery show up on the display. So after that's all up and running, then I turn my Cardo Freecom Plus on, and once I turn that on and I press music, you can hear it start to play immediately. If you don't hear it starting to play, then I just say, hey Cardo, music off. And when it turns the music off between the phone and here, then you can hear it playing on the Ducati, from the Ducati display. So once you have the Ducati's display up, I just click on music instead of Ducati Connect. And when I hit the Ducati music, or I just hit the music, then I can scroll through my my songs. And if I don't like something, I can go to the next one. I could start it, I could stop it, and everything else. That's what seems to work the best. I hate when I have to stop for gas or stop anytime, because I have to go through this whole process again. If I don't follow that exact process, then something doesn't work. It either doesn't connect to the Ducati Connect, or the music doesn't play. So sometimes I'll just turn the Freecom off and then turn it back on again, say, hey Cardo, music off, press play, and then it starts playing again. Don't know. The bottom line is it's really, really wonky. So we've talked about this right here, which is where you put your phone. Again, they'll fit there, and on longer trips, that's where I'm going to put it. We've talked about the Connect. We've talked about the engine issue, and a couple other things. The pegs could be a little bit bigger. If you're going to be standing up, especially if you're going to be doing adventure riding, you definitely want some wider pegs on the bike. The bike doesn't have the widest pegs, but they're comfortable. If I were to be standing a lot, they would be uncomfortable, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the 19-inch wheel. This is my thought process. I like the fact that I can just easily go down a gravelly road and not be concerned if there's a dirt road that's hard packed, and not have any issues with this bike. It has a nice clearance, but that really wasn't important to me. From what I understand, they're going to be coming out with a Ducati Multistrada Pikes Peak Edition that's going to have a 17-inch front wheel. It's going to have the single-sided swing arm in the back, more traditional, and it looks like that's set up more for the street touring use. So honestly, I would probably trade this in on that if that were the case. I don't really need this height. I don't really need this clearance. It comes in handy, but I don't need it. All right, so why am I talking about that? Well, this bike is very nimble. and it has a very good response to it. But you can definitely tell with the 19-inch wheel that it does take a little bit away with this being 2 inches bigger than the rear wheel. The other thing that I solely believe is that the rear tire could have been a little bit larger, like the previous Multistradas, okay? This rear tire just doesn't quite have the width, and I think part of the problem is because of the redesign, it has a narrower space to occupy. I'm just wondering if with the new Pikes Peak version, whenever that's officially released, whether or not that's going to be addressed with this particular bike. And why would I want a bit of a wider tire? Well, I'm in South Florida, it's very hot, we have very little twisties, and I just want a bigger tire to spread out that patch a little bit more to maybe help with some of my wear, you know, the wear and tear, because these tires down here, they just get flat spotted right down the center. Again, I have to really look for twists and turns, and when I find them, I'll go up and down them, and like I said before, I will go to roundabouts just to get something to do. There's a couple of S-curves that we have that I will take advantage of on A18. There's about 4 of them, and I literally have to wait for traffic to leave so I can get up to speed and at least have a little bit of fun. So that's the downside to down here. But other than that, it has been pretty good, other than the fact that I'm still a little perturbed that there's no release date officially in the United States for the radar component of it, so I don't really get to enjoy that. The chain, regular tension, I have a video about that. It hasn't been an issue at all. It's been holding steady rather well. I had to top off my front brake with some .4 fluid. That's about it. I've become very accustomed to this clutch. I never really had a hydraulic clutch before. So now that I'm becoming used to it, it's just like anything else. You get accustomed to it, and now you can kind of feather it as much as you want. I've been in traffic a lot lately, and being in traffic a lot, there's just a lot of clutch, 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 and it's a lot easier than it was. I come from a cruiser, like I said before, that, you know, as soon as I start letting out, you can feel it, and you have a longer, I'm going to call it, you know, friction zone that lasts a lot longer versus this. But like anything, like I said, you get used to it. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else. Oh yeah, the back seat. Pay attention to your display. There's been a few times where I've backed up and either belt loop or something I was wearing was bunched up, and it hit the switches on the heated seat for the pillion for this passenger. Now, with that being said, there's been a few times I'm like, oh, why is my heat on? And I didn't realize that I had bumped it. So you have to pay attention to make sure that you don't bump that switch. To turn your seat on, you have to go through the display in order to turn that on. You have to go out of your way to turn on the heated grips, which I don't need anymore now for the summer, on your right hand. You really have to go through a lot to get to that, and it shows up on your display and it changes your display. You have a tendency to miss it if the rear seat, because the rear seat just needs the switch. That's it. Okay? Now, they have this European 12-volt plug up here and underneath the rear passenger seat. That's great, but now in order for me to use another plug other than what comes here, this USB port that comes with in the holder for your phone holder, it would have been nice if the versions that they sold in the United States were actually United States versions, so I don't have to buy some sort of an adapter. And with where the location it is, it's not somewhere I want to have an adapter out where this is going to be running the risk of hitting it. All right, and finally the last thing is, before I even picked up the bike, when I went to go look at it after it was delivered and they were trying to figure out VINs to figure out which one was mine, I did notice when I looked down that the fairing on the inside has a lot of clearance here, right where my fingers are, to the forks, to the fork tube here. On the right side, it literally looks like it's touching. When you get underneath there, it's really close. So it looks like for some reason the fairings are shifted to the left a little bit. I asked if that could be adjusted. The answer was no. And since it wasn't touching, I was okay with it. It's nothing that you notice unless you specifically look for it. It bothers me. I'm just thinking on a better, higher end bike like this, they should be able to adjust that and have that where they need it. That is not the case. A lot of good things. I did not get this changed yet. This is real easy to take out. There's just these 4 Torx screws that just come out. You can clean both sides, and I use Plexus on that. It sometimes is a pain in the butt to get behind it, and that's it. So listen, these are just some additional things that I've picked up on the Multistrada V4S, the travel and radar one, minus the radar, since I've put on the 5,000, 6,000 miles now. As far as someone brought up maintenance cost, there's no maintenance cost other than when I have to lubricate and clean the chain, whatever those spray bottles cost, and the oil change. I change the oil myself, and I use what they say. I did a video on the oil change. There really hasn't been anything. I mean, the bike's under warranty, and I don't really expect to have anything else go wrong. Been asked this multiple times. And I've checked multiple times. My bike is not on the recall list to replace the engine. I hope it doesn't, and if it is, it is. But right now there's 6,000 miles on it. I changed the oil about 1,000 miles ago, and it still looks great. It looks really good. So that's it. If you have any other questions about the Multistrada V4S from Ducati, comment below. It'd be nice to hear from more people. I'm kind of enjoying doing this, so please like, please subscribe. I hate begging, but please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And we're going to be doing a little bit more than just these Multistradas. Rainbow's out. Have a good day. Bye-bye.